Look, we're making the new counterculture whether they want it or not. So who's going to run the non-woke answer to Newsarama or the non-autistic IGN?
New co-host that will be taking Richard's spot on the show is Mr. Emily Music. My next co-host, the man who will absolutely make you change. And by making you change, what I mean by that is he is going to help you change from having that story in your head to putting it on paper and putting it into people's hands. And this is the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel P. Riley of whimsyland.org.
Alcohol. A good Christian boy.
Number 1 Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Royce. Welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. I am buying a goat. I love goat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Iron Age Nights, what's going on, everybody? Oh, my God.
Hello.
I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We actually have a plan tonight, which is the first one of these panel streams we've ever done. We actually have a plan. We have a
and
topic.
we only have one guest.
I know. Well, I sent out the link to a bunch of people, so I don't know. They might show up or they might not, but we'll see. But yeah, so just so everybody knows, if you are a past guest of Iron Age Nights, so if you've been invited on and you did a show on Iron Age Nights, you are welcome on to the show. So yeah, just let us know if you would like to join the show. Share your thoughts. Either myself, Daniel, or Evely will send you the link. Probably touch base with Daniel or Evely. They might be able to do it a little better. I got a lot of crap going on. So yeah, anyway, it's awesome. I hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving. We got a bunch of people in the chat already. What's going on, chat? We've got Horizon Talker, who's also on the show. Darkest Timeline, what up, dude? We got Buddy Rabbit, good to see you. Wrangler, how's it going? D Gray, what up, man? Scrolling. Liu, Christopher D. Brand, what up, man? It's good to see everybody. Tim Allen as well. What's going on, everybody? And I know we have lurkers. I know that they are there. But yeah, so this is going to be a very, very fun conversation. I almost just want to dive into it. This is going to be an absolute massacre because I'm going to tell everybody that they're wrong, and everybody's going to tell everybody else that they're wrong, and it's going to be.
And we're all going to call you gay, so it'll be a typical
Well,
Friday.
I mean, you guys are going to do that anyway. Like, was that not on the docket before this show, or what? Like,
no promises, Tim. No promises.
I explicitly told Daniel I plan to come here and make fun of your hair, so it's.
That's fine.
It was really the motivation behind me giving him the link.
You're right.
I think that was the whole thing. Like, I just want to show up and make fun of Royce's hair. Oh, here's 3 links.
Yeah.
I mean, they all go to the same place, but jeez.
Log in 3 times.
Log in 3 times, right? So gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Daniel, what's up, man?
I'm doing well. Thanksgiving was awesome.
Good.
Chilling. Got working on the new website. Made major progress over the week before the holiday, so I'm excited about that. It's a huge weight off of my brain.
Good, man. Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot this year. So, yeah, it was a nice chill week. So that's good. Evely Music, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanksgiving was a lot of fun. We went and visited some family. Driving home in traffic all day today kind of sucked, but that comes with the territory. God. But the trip itself is good. I mean, you hang out with the family, and then we get a little downtime. I got through Mike Barron's comic Florida Man, which was absolutely ridiculous. Von Coleman's Phenomenova, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And although shame on you, Von Coleman, for causing bats to crash his car. Shame on you. And I also started Bancroft's Lucent the Pain of Death, which I got a while ago, and there's always something else. And I started it. It's off to an awesome start, which is to be expected. The first one was really good, so looking forward to getting back to that. But overall, yeah, it's doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Good deal, man. And Nate from Horizon Talker, dude. It's been a while.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. It's just, God, I think you said it's been over a year.
That sounds about right. I haven't dug through your archive to make sure of that date, but
Right. I could. It's a quick search function. I'm not going to, but I could. How you been, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I managed to launch a book in the last week.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I've been going around trying to do the promo for that.
Good deal.
And then I managed to have a minor collision in my car this week, so I took all those plans and I threw them in the garbage. But I do what I can.
Unfortunate.
It is. Drop the link in the private chat. We'll get it shared out in the chat for you, man.
I can do that.
Yeah, do that thing. So, all right. So I don't know why. I think Daniel and we had a couple of conversations. I called Daniel last night. I was like, hey, I got a funny thing. I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely feeling it. I was definitely feeling it. Oh, no. If I get drunk, I go to bed. That's how you know I'm drunk. I'm just like, and we're done. like if I'm, yeah. But no, so I
he was about 24 beers in Rambly.
No, I was not 24.
It was 23, good sir. 23,
no,
I counted.
I was 16, thank you.
Close enough.
But I called you at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'd been drinking since 11 o'clock in the morning, so, beer and a half an hour, whatever. It's fine. But anyway, no, so tonight's topic, apparently, and this is going to be a fun one. The Iron Age has a branding problem. It has a message problem.
I'm sorry.
It has
the Iron Age doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, the Iron Age. Oh, well,
I knew it.
I mean, you guys know how I stand on this. I flat out said to everybody, don't get too attached to the name. Be attached to what you're doing as an individual. Like go forward, create, do that thing. The sentiment of when the term was coined was that, technology is finally at a point where creative talents on the individual level can create and put things out at the same level as mega corporations, and not just like books and movies and games and comics and stuff, but people can also start review websites. They can do magazines. They can do all this other stuff in the entertainment medium. It really was developed around the idea of being kind of like a parallel economy, or being like, hey, we're tired of the mainstream constant liberal beratement of everything that we're doing, and we now have the tools and the access to do it ourselves. And for some fucking reason, people just won't say that. It's all it. Like I see people try to define the Iron Age all the fucking time. Like I said, I don't really care about the name itself. I care about people creating, and you guys know that. My famous fucking Sunday coffee. I was like, we call it the pink fluffy fucking unicorn movement. It doesn't matter.
Direct quote.
Yeah, no, that is a direct quote. But like I said, it's one of those things that a lot of people want to go back and forth about what we should do and what the Iron Age should do and this, that, and the other thing. And it's, and I think like Daniel, one of his things, he's like, man, it's just a bunch of individual people that don't want to really come together and put their weight behind a lot of stuff. I mean, we do see a lot of collaboration and things like that. But what are you referring to when you kind of say that, Daniel? I'll just kind of hot potato that at you.
It's probably going to be slightly offensive, but I don't care. Let's roll with it. Part of the issue that I've seen is that we collaborate constantly on making these incredibly cool things, but then none of us, including the person that spawned the idea in the first place, really push attention towards it. And
so the collaborative marketing is just a failure.
And community-wise, that's why the joke is so funny. The Iron Age is dead. And we had a guy recently, I'm not going to bring any names into it, but some of you are familiar, a guy recently who said because Razor Fist's comic isn't making a second issue, that means the Iron Age no longer exists. And from what I saw in the scroll, the brass tacks of what he was saying was, I don't see anybody else calling it that and doing things under it. So I can't say that it's doing anything. And to somebody who's on the outside looking in at our community, we're just a bunch of people who go, hey, I made the thing. And then we just fuck off for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that is really interesting. It's like you have it is interesting that there are a lot, and like I said, I mean, me personally, I don't necessarily care about the naming convention itself, but the idea that there are creators out there who are like-minded, who do care about getting away from the liberal BS of the media and all that. And but yeah, nobody wants to market it. Nobody really wants to push it like that. Nobody wants to, I don't know, kind of like you said, gather in the community. I mean, you see a lot of, love them or hate them, the CG guys have each other's back, like hell or high water. And I know, again, there's a lot of bad blood there with a lot of people, but come hell or high water, them dudes got your back, and they will go out, they will be out there for blood if you try
until
to
they don't, and then then they take all of your blood,
and that tends to be the problem. But at least that's there. I mean, I don't really see a whole lot of that. I don't know. What's
and
up?
Behind all of that, what I was talking with Royce about during his drunken ramblings was
It was awesome.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I will say that was that.
Well,
despite...
I called you. Okay, hold on. I called him because I had a funny idea. I had a funny drunk idea, which would be really fucking good. We got to reach out to some creators to get this because
we got to get that rolling. It was cool.
It'd be funny.
But
anyway, go on.
The conversation ended up devolving, and regardless of how we inside the community feel, because we're all a bunch of rebel degenerates by nature.
Some of you,
regardless of that. Yeah, regardless of that, because that's inside the community. The rest of the world doesn't operate like we do. And the rest of the world psychologically are prone to conformity. They want to be part of the group. And if the group doesn't know what the fuck it's doing or what it's about, then people aren't going to be interested in being part of it.
Yeah. And I think that that's the biggest problem is, you ask a bunch of people, well, what is the Iron Age? You're going to see 17,000 different freaking definitions.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Like for a definition of libertarianism.
Right. It's just as bad.
It's just as bad. And that's the problem is everybody wants to have their own definition of it. Like I've seen people say it's comic creators, which it's not. It's just... It's a time period that we ended up living in where technology is at a point where we can produce produce at an individual level, but nobody says that, right? And they're like, and not only that, but there's also a set of values in it to return to, traditional storytelling, to return to get away from the modern political lens of storytelling that's being forced into all of our modern media. But I don't see that. It's, everybody's like, well, it's for writers or it's, musicians or it's, and I'm like, what? No, dude. Like
thinking about that, I have an answer to why that happened.
What?
I've been thinking about it since we talked about it last night. Perception. With me, most of the time I interact with the novel writers. So when you called me out about calling it a bunch of prose writers, I thought about it and realized that I've worked with 100 people since the Iron Age really started becoming a thing for us as a community, and the vast majority of them are prose writers. So I think in terms of prose writers. You doing what you do, you're a host who introduces people to a wide variety of things. So you look at it differently. It wasn't just prose writers to you. It's all different type of creators. So what it is a perception issue.
So people need to get their fucking heads straight. D-Gray says, Daniel, how many people you think represent the Iron Age community?
Well, I can kind of sort of tell you, but not fully. I have slight metrics on it. Give me 1 second.
If I wanted to take a quick guess, go look at the number of people that are in my Discord and double it.
There's that too. Yes.
I mean,
I have 293 people in Iron Age Creatives community. That is separate. There is some overlap between the almost 100 people that hang out in Laureate and still goof around. And there are other people out in the wind who haven't joined either community. So my guess is probably around 350.
Yeah. So it's less than 1,000 people talking about this. But the idea is, I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, there are no large creators pushing for small creators. The fact of the matter is promoting independent creators doesn't make money. It just doesn't. People don't click on it. Most people, especially, and everybody's like, no, it's because of the algorithm. No. Most people want to watch something they are familiar with, right? That's it. And I mean, why do you think people still watch fucking Star Wars? I mean, that shit's been dead for almost a decade, and yet people are still watching it because they are familiar with it. It's comfortable. They don't need to go learn a new thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's and so.
But the thing that I've been thinking about with it, sorry to interrupt you again,
no, you're good.
Because I do have a lot of research done on it, is that even if the quote unquote conversion rate would be 5%, so you imagine out of 100 people, only 5 people would start to follow what we called the Iron Age if we started actually openly referring to all of our stuff as being part of that umbrella. 350 people times 5. It's a pretty, that's it. 5% of 100. If all 350 people had 100 people that were following them, and 5% of them clued into the Iron Age because we were talking about it as a community.
But here's the other fucking problem. Where do I go to find the Iron Age?
Right.
That's
the next step.
Can I touch it? Can I hang out in the Iron Age? No, it's not. It's not a fucking tangible. It's not really a tangible thing. And I think that's another that's a big thing there. It's why I tell people like, you come over to my channel, you hang out on my channel, I'll introduce you to a bunch of indie creators. Indie creators, a lot more palpable. A lot of people go, what the fuck is Iron Age? And immediately you'll see people go, oh, it's just a clapback at CG, and people go, what the fuck is CG? And they go, oh, it's just a comic hate group. And then because again, you're presupposing that a lot of people actually have the information behind it, and they're not going to ask 1,000 fucking questions. It's kind of why I say that the Iron Age is just a bad label, because I mean, one, it doesn't have any mainstream appeal, and two, the level of information that you have to fucking have in order to know what the movement is, and like I said, 1,000 people give a different answer. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about, to put it in terms for you, is if all 350 people were shouting out your YouTube channel, and each of them had 100 people that were actively following them, and 5% of them converted over to following your YouTube channel at 350 people, say, would jump 1,500 people.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I'm talking about, is if we had a concerted effort to draw attention to the thing, there would be a pretty decent growth.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Why hasn't there been that? Even early on, there wasn't really there were some channels that had their name attached to it. I mean, even IAK, but why did it sort of dissipate? Why didn't more people latch on? I mean, it's how you make something work.
Because we're rebel degenerates.
It's a bunch of individuals. Well, not only that, but think about this too. There are. I think when it comes to the whole Iron Age thing, I am the only channel that runs a show to highlight independent creators, and I myself am actively not trying to create anything. Mm-hmm. Right? Because my sole focus is to grow in order to bring people over to the indie creators. Mm-hmm. Even when I'm doing videos on A Drink with Crazy, even when I'm doing stuff over there, my sole focus is to grow what I'm doing over there and convert people over here. Mm-hmm. Other people's sole focus is to get their books done, to get their comics done, to get their music done, to get their movies done, to get the next review up, to get the next, like that, their focus is that. And then secondarily, or even, third or fourth down the line is then to promote other people.
Yeah.
And so it is a focus point, is their focus is not to promote other people. Their focus is to work on their own shit first.
And it always has been.
Well, yeah, which, I mean,
because we're builders, we're not showmen.
And that's not a bad thing. You have to write your own shit to get it out there.
Oh, for sure. There is absolutely power in these indies, these separate entities joining together and kind of pushing each other forward together. I think it was Blanley Pardoe made a point about this a while back, where he said, when somebody releases something, if out of 1,000 people, 100 of us back that project, read it, review it, push it, I don't care what you if you call it Iron Age or, like you said, the pink fluffy unicorn fuzzy
pink
whatever
fluffy
it was.
Fucking unicorn
Call
movement.
it whatever you want, but there's immense value in different indies banding together and working together, like we said, as you see with the Comics Gate guys. There's definitely value in that. So you can call it whatever you want. If you just call it indie, if that's the move, if that's the branding that gets people to be like, yes, let's all say that, and people get it and we all push forward. But you got to have some kind of umbrella. I think that's what drew me into the term Iron Age was, I've been at the scene for a while, but there was never really a community. I was with Chiptunes Equals Win for a little while, and it kind of dissipated and fizzled out, and then you're on your own. I'm floating around. I'm looking for a group to join to be like, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I want to be surrounded by other creatives because it's motivating and your stuff's cool and it's just fun to push it and all that. And I don't know, there's got to be something out there. So if it's not Iron Age, it's got to be something, right?
It should be.
I think there's merit to that, but like I said, it's really funny. And like I said, I went back and forth with the guy that Daniel was talking about earlier, and he was just saying that, the Iron Age is just a couple of creators, and he only mentioned like Razor Fist and Shad, and I was like, why are you only talking about them? I'm telling you right now.
Because they're the only ones he saw.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, but I'm like, why do you keep bringing them up? Like, you're not, and I was like, so you're not actively looking for them. You're not.
No.
And that's.
He said he did a search on YouTube, and that's what he got. And that doesn't really surprise me because, that's probably all you're going to get hits for if you do a search on YouTube. I mean, I know you have it in your show title, and when I do reviews of a lot of indie stuff, I tend to put it in the Iron Age bucket. But my stuff doesn't get a whole lot of hits when it's searched for, and I'd assume yours is the same, only probably a little more discoverable. You have a higher view rate than I do. So, it is partly a discoverability problem for other people as well.
Perception.
Yeah.
It's what it boils down to, is perception.
And one of the biggest issues, sorry, I was trying to answer D Gray real quick. No, I don't think Shad, I think, I don't know. I think Shad would probably have at one point in time called himself a part of it because, again, it's a time period of, and now people are turning it into a community, right? It was a time period where we lived in, and now, but everybody wants to rally it and turn it into a community. I personally, I mean, yes, we've got to have a community to where we can find people, network with people, shout people out. Iron Age, I still don't think it's a good fucking name for it.
What's the alternative, though?
Yes,
I don't know. I mean,
that's all I can think.
I mean, that's the thing. Though, is it has any, like, nobody's come up with one that would be instantly recognizable. I mean, I've seen a few other people that come across it like Iron Age. They're like, what the hell is that? Or like, are people just pushing out shitty books now? Like, what does that mean? Like, it's not, like, it was kind of funny when, like, Ethan Van Sciver ended up going up on Timcast, and everybody shared this clip, and people were like, oh, look, like, they're like, he mentioned Iron Age, and that was like right at the height of it. And they were like, yeah, they're calling this movement the Iron Age. And Tim was like, that's kind of dumb. He's like, Iron's not really. And they're like, because again, we know where the term came from. So we are working under, no, it's people who, they're working their asses off. They're shaping the iron. They're doing all that stuff. But a lot of people, they have no idea about that. Again, there's a presupposition there that anybody who's outside of it is going to even know what the hell we're talking about, because there's a lot of information that goes into it. And anytime you have a word that's loaded with a definition that takes longer than 30 seconds to fucking describe, you've already lost to people, right? If you have to explain it to somebody, you've already lost them. And that's just the sad reality of the world. But it's part of the reason. I mean, yes, I think the community needs to exist. Do I think Iron Age is the best term for it? No, I think there was hype around it when it happened. I think it was good for its time, but it's not something that's going to bring the sales in.
So is the goal then? I mean, if let's say you come up with a new name like a D-grade set called Rebel Age, I assume
Right.
he's suggesting it. So does anybody that has the Iron Age tag just rebrand and it's mostly the same guys, and now it's not IAK, it's RAK, and it's not Iron Age Media, it's Rebel Age Media? Like, how does that change? Like, Iron Age is already a term that at least people don't know what it is, but at least they've seen it somewhere, they've heard it somewhere. Razorfist pushed it out there. Like, it's floating around, and maybe it's a
The
little
focus-
bit nebulous, but if
yeah.
there's people that start grabbing it, latching onto it, and pushing it, it becomes a thing because you're making it a thing. People might be like, what is this, just crappy books? Well, no, but if you have people, again, pushing it and all that, and they're going to see the good books coming out of that, then I don't know. I feel like it's already there, and the whole idea of a rebrand, maybe it's the right move. I'm not a marketing guy, but it just seems weird to sort of
like,
reset.
It's not necessarily like you need to do a rebrand, but you have got to make it succinct, and you have to attach that word with something tangible, right? You have to attach the
The
Iron
three
Age.
things you need for marketing are to know your target audience, know your brand, and know your message.
Yeah.
Right. And in order to
Lead-
keep focus on those things, you also need somebody to manage the brand and somebody who can, keep people on focus. Like
Mhm.
in my day job, I do a lot of production of brand materials, and there is a whole list of criteria we have to conform to for each brand. And, if you want to make a brand, you need somebody to kind of, wave the flag on it. And, Iron Age really hasn't had that per se.
No.
Because a lot of us cleave to the decentralization theory, and that's been a detriment for many of us. Because as Royce, you mentioned earlier, the CG guys all are straight up behind each other, and they do it under the moniker of CG, love it or hate it. We have a we in the community have a tendency
right
to just
here.
go,
I mean, this
cool,
right here.
and then we'll walk off.
I mean, D Gray's got it. He's like, it's kind of a paradox. The moment it's successful or organized or official or a brand, then it isn't Iron Age. And again, but I think that a lot of people are attaching their own meanings to the shit. It was never that. Go on, Justin.
I was just going to say, can it morph just because somebody say it's a time period, and then it's like you mentioned earlier, I believe, it started as this, then it became something else. Why can't it become something else? And
because
I
it
agree
never
with that.
because nobody ever agreed what the fuck it was in the beginning to
so
start
there's
with.
not even a set definition, which
Yeah,
makes it becoming like a group or whatever. That's
Yeah.
even easier because it's not set yet. It's not concrete. This is what it means. So if it changes to this, it'd be like, oh yeah, for a while people didn't know what it was, but it's actually like this group of people that are making stuff, and it's actually really cool. Check out this guy. Check out that guy.
I like
that
what
sort of thing.
Tim Allen said.
Well,
Iron Age is fitting, for we are the culture that is forged by a set of beliefs that desire great stories that need to be told.
yeah, that sounds highly pretentious as fuck.
It does, but I like what he said.
I mean, it was born from the idea that the liberal takeover of media was pissing a lot of people off, and again, people were just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself." I'm tired of this shit. I'm gonna do it myself, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of people just don't, because but it does encompass a lot. It encompasses all different forms of media, and we're not just talking about
It's skateboarding in the 80s.
That's fucking funny, dude.
Very much so.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a thing. But no, fuck, train of thought. No, it's damn it. That threw me off so bad. Nope, train's gone. Fuck it, we're gone. It's out. I don't remember what I was saying anymore.
Well, I think part of the problem of trying to conceive of it as a time period is you can't really bring an era into focus until you're about at least a decade out.
Mhm.
Like, it's funny, Gamergate is about a decade old at this point, and we're just starting to really understand what the cultural impact of everything that happened during that time period was.
Very true.
It woke up a lot of normies to the problems in mainstream media, even if it was like it started with mainstream gaming media, which is tiny, right?
Yeah.
But it just, spiderwebbed out from that. It was like the first crack in the iceberg.
Mhm.
And, maybe this is the beginning of some kind of realignment in how publishing and media works. But we're probably not going to really see what it looks like for another 10, 15 years minimum.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a long game. It
Very
is
much.
definitely a long game. But I mean, figuring out the basis of it in the beginning is something that's really important,
And yeah, early adopters can really, really ride a wave if they can get on it and stay on it.
Christopher Deeper Hand.
That's what I've been hoping for.
Well, and like I said, it's one of those things that
Here we have the Iron Age creating his natural environment.
Nikki P, what up, dude?
Hey.
Would it be?
What's going on, man? I haven't seen you in a hot minute.
I'm just doing hot minute kind of things. What else is there?
Oh god.
So I guess I always try to fancy myself a solutions guy of sorts. So what's the move moving forward? What's the solution here? Is it just like, no, just keep doing what you're doing and it's gonna change and go how it goes and we'll just fill it out? Or is there like what we should do is X, then Y, then Z? Like,
Well,
how
step
do you see
one
the
is
future?
figure out if we're going to continue to argue about the name or if we're just going to embrace it and move.
Or should we
I
change
mean, I
it
think
to
most people-
not
I-
IAK?
I think most people have embraced
not.
the name. Like I said, I really do. I think most people have embraced the name who are around it, who believe in creating their own stuff. So I don't have an issue with people wanting to keep it. I think it definitely has its hurdles for, recognition and people understanding what it is, and that just makes the push a little harder, but okay, that's fine. Like, so rally behind the name, but at the end of the day, like, we need to get people to understand what the hell this is. And when people ask what the hell is Iron Age, what are Iron Age creators, we need people to understand, to give the same fucking definition.
I mean, that's a really easy answer. It's the modern self-publishing movement.
Yeah.
Period. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be anything.
It's a lot
everything.
simpler than my version.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very cool though.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what it was. This is technology caught up to a point where people can just do it themselves. Whether it's games, tabletop, novels, comics, music, like technology has gotten to a point where people can actively compete with massive corporations and not worry about whatever propaganda the corporations are trying to throw at us, because that's where a lot of the sentiment came from, because why do it yourself?
I see what you did there, Christopher,
What?
in the chat.
We'll find the concept of the idea. The Steel Age. Oh God, I just you fuckers.
I mean, the thing that I get struck by in this is that the only people that are like making a problem out of this are people that want things to be drama. Like they want to point the finger and say, "Oh, this is a failure," because they're the same people that are going after Ripa, or they're going after comics. They want everything to just be a source of internet drama. And I'm not about to run out and change my marketing company from Iron Age Marketing because the name went out of vogue. I'm going to continue talking to authors and creators about marketing and continue doing what they do, what I do. And I've been the one from the beginning saying this. It's not a group. It's a time period. That's
See, and I've said the same thing.
And they're like, "Oh, you're just changing the definitions." No, never is.
Dude, I've had people in the Iron Age tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm like, motherfucker, why don't you go watch the guy's video who came up with the term?
Whoa.
He even said he just noticed that this thing was happening for quite a few years, about 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's just reaching a fever pitch. And he's like, I just needed something to call it, so I called it the Iron Age. And he was like, but it was a time period that we live in where we can do it ourselves now. Even the guy who coined the term said that, and I've been told that I'm wrong.
It's
By people in our sphere.
Sure.
2 years ago, me and I'm like, you're the older guy's old co-host that I no longer see anymore on the internet.
Richard.
Richard. Me and Richard were going on podcasts, the two of us, and talking to people 2 years ago and saying this is just a time period. That's all this is. It's not political. It's literally just this moment in time. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
The reason that people took issue with it is because let's say you've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years and you've been indie the whole time. And then somebody says, hey, you indie guy, you've been at forever. Now you're Iron Age. And you're like, what the hell? No, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm not Iron Age. Don't put that label on me. And I think that's where people are like, it's not a time period. If you guys want to call yourself Iron Age because you're doing your thing, cool. But don't just rope me into it because some guy went on the internet and said, this is a term now and get on board, buddy. I think that's why people took issue with the whole time period thing. I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but I think that was where there was some people that were like rubbed them the wrong way, and fair enough.
Hello, friends.
And what's going
Hello,
on,
James.
Jamesy? And
Hey.
and this and that's the problem with the name itself, and like where the whole kind of the crux of the issue is. And I think a lot of people saying, it's a community and stuff like that. Like if it evolves into that and evolves into a community, it's all right. Now, okay, well, it's going to be an internet click. Let's just fucking face it. Like if that's where we're going to go, it's going to get real clicky, real fucking fast. And infighting is usually only about a year out after that.
I'm still very keen to anytime I even use the term Iron Age, I'm always creating in the Iron Age. So and so is creating in the Iron Age. It's to me, it is literally just a term of a time period, even when I use it.
Yeah.
And if I say an Iron Age creator, it's because you're a creator now. Period. That's it. And once again, it's people, because people want that. They want that fight. They want that animosity. They want that click drama.
Right. It does get the clicks. It does do the do.
And
I think there may be an issue of kind of like the Iron Age being attached to YouTube itself. It seems like there's just a lot of just a lot of that going on.
I can see it.
And then that's partly because most of these people aren't involved with it at all. All they paid attention to was the punditry. They didn't pay attention to all the people that Daniel and I know that are out there creating books. The people that are just in the thick of making shit happen.
Yep.
The only thing they saw was Razor Fist and you, and that's their entire experience with it.
So there may be a void in the marketing department.
Very much so. We already know that because we all suck at it.
Dude, I used to have to tell you to shill your shit at the end of every show.
Damn right.
Like, you're better about it now, but fuck, you took a while to get there.
Yeah.
I'm like, which is just something that just it does kind of baffle me, is because a lot of people who are creators that we deal with, they're all a bunch of fucking introvert. Getting an introvert to try to fucking market their shit, dude, my God, it's like pulling teeth from a shark. It's probably not a good idea. It's really gonna wear you down, and at some point, you're just gonna give up. It's a very strange thing. It's probably a bad analogy, but you guys get what I'm going for.
Royce, how much fun is it just trying to get a picture from a guest for a thumbnail?
I fucking hate it. Right? They're better now. A lot of people are better now. But God, dude.
Not wrong, Tim.
Yeah. In the first, I'm like, hey, can I get a? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, just a high resolution photo. And I always say high resolution, like your phone. Your phone takes high resolution photos, right? It's not that hard. Your phone can take high resolution photos. I just need dude, and I will get a fucking picture from Facebook from 2002 taken on a 0.5 megapixel phone, and I'm like, I've
just gotten really used to using AI upscalers at this point. It's way easier writing it.
Let me get my old flip phone
cut
out.
it out and put it on the fucking thumbnail and yeah, it's dude, that is, yeah, it's no, it's yeah, it
I know,
yeah.
Wrangler, I know.
Wait, what's it? was good. It would succeed on its own merits. I've now learned that to be incorrect, but marketing, I just don't have the touch for it. Yeah, I mean, there are very, very few things that can actually succeed on their own merits in today's day and age. And that is because there is so much content out there. It's like, yeah, but my thing is really good. It's like, yeah, but there's 500,000 other really good things out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
anyone who says that has no idea what they're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just
700,000 to 1 million every year.
Yeah,
just in novels alone.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, coming from music, how many amazing bands are out there that have 15 fans that are never going to see the light of day?
Oh,
I guarantee between Evalie, me, and you, we could probably list 100 bands that we
I was
love
one of them.
that no one's ever heard of.
Fuck,
Never.
I was one of them, dude. Like, I get it.
Like I always love talking about some of my favorite bands from even just like local bands and stuff, and even people here have never heard of them in the same city, but they're like my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, it's such a big thing, and it's like I'm not saying that we can't kick this off and we can't build up, you know.
We can, but we can't at the same time. It requires the same consistency that's required to produce all the stuff that we produce to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm curious here, Daniel. I actually invited you a couple months ago to a community of like people really into marketing, and I've never actually had the time to talk to you about that since I did. I'm kind of curious what your opinions were of like being in a group of people that are just super psyched about marketing.
It was very interesting, and then I just dropped off of it. Like I got overwhelmed, unfortunately. There was so much stuff coming out of that group so quickly that my brain went, I can't process all of this, so I'm going to ignore it until I'm done processing what I know. And then I went back and started looking again, and I'm like, they're talking about shit I don't understand anymore.
I stopped. I left all the group. I had a bunch of people that like invite me to groups, and I'm like, my phone goes off enough as it is, and I was just like, I don't need those notifications. I mean, so I left a lot of groups, and people are like, yeah, but Royce, like, we wanted you a part of this group. I'm like, fucking why? I'm like, those same 20 people are in my fucking Discord. Like, just have the conversation there. Like, I could create a private chat.
It's more fun to do backroom deals, damn it. We get to feel like we're, you know, smoking cigars and sitting around the poker table planning somebody's assassination.
Oh, jeez.
Jesus, wow.
That took a turn.
Whoa.
That's how I feel about it.
It's me. I'm ready for the slings
In
and arrows.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft. The cement shoes in Minecraft.
If you ever wondered what the average Tuesday was like on Laureate, now you know.
Now you know. Right. Fuck. Like I said, it's really kind of funny to see a lot of this. And I've seen some people be like, yeah, so this thing just kind of fizzled out. And it didn't, but I think a lot of people expected. And so here's one thing. I think a lot of people had the expectation that larger creators were going to carry it. I mean, at a certain point, I kind of felt that way. I can't speak
to that. I never felt that way.
I think at very, very early on, I was kind of like, yeah. But what's funny is I've watched a number of streams or creators, and they're just like, and these are people that know me, right? And these are people that know my channel. And they'll be like, yeah, where do we go to find Iron Age creators? And they're like, fuck, we don't know. Fuck, we have no idea where you go to find it. And I'm like, really, motherfuckers?
Well, Richard's thing used to be the play.
And I'm like, I DM'd some of these guys like a day. I'm like, all right, whatever.
I think these things just take time, and it's just to keep at it. I know everybody's been like, you're saying people expected it to blow up. You're like, okay, you said there's 350 people that checked out the I can't remember what community page it was that you had, but there's 350 there, and you were saying it can expand to X, Y, and Z. So what's the end goal? Is the end goal that there's 50 million people that know what Iron Age is, or is it that you have enough of a community that there's support there for whatever's coming out, and people can jump into things knowing that they're going to be backed? Or is it, no, every project has to be a wild success, it's got to take off to the moon? Like, what's the end goal there? You know
Well,
what I mean?
Definitely not the third one, but the first two would be nice.
Right, and that's going to take time.
Well, so here's your first hurdle. Is that anytime your hashtag requires you to have a minus any terms that include this, like, because if even follow the Iron Age hashtag, you have to have an Iron Age minus history to follow it and not be inundated with a bunch of crap you don't care about. So it's your first big marketing hurdle right there.
Well, and well, and that's kind of like what, why like Comic Shop Wednesday, why I called it Comic Shop Wednesday. One, to pay homage to, the tradition of going to the comic shop on Wednesdays in America. And then, and that, but again, that is, a lot of people go, oh, Comic Shop Wednesday. What? Immediately people kind of go, wait a second here. And it's like, no, we're checking out indie creators, right? There is Comic Shop Wednesday is immediately recognizable because people go, because again, it's been around for so long.
It's the established term.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but the
yeah,
Iron
that's
Age
piggybacking.
Yeah,
well,
it makes sense. But I know one of your favorite shows is like the Unsubscribe podcast. If you told me that term, I don't know what that show's about. Unsubscribe. What am I unsubscribing from? I don't know who these people are. He's a fat electrician. Are they talking about electrician work? Like, there's something about just sticking with your branding and just doing what you do and keep grinding along. And if you have it there, I don't know. I think things will take shape and take form, like hammering out on the anvil as time kind of goes along. This crew here 3 years ago, was this a thing? No. Like more people kind of join in. Things are kind of snowballing. I think it's just sort of, it's at a point where maybe people expected it to be further along. But I'm still of the mindset: stay on the grind, keep pushing this. I think that it's just
don't ever stop the grind. Like,
I
never
love
say
you,
that
chat.
I'm saying stop the grind. Fuck the chat. What's going on? What? I don't know what they said, but I just
Christopher D. Brand said it's a podcast about how to stop unwanted emails.
You need a whole podcast for that.
I love that show. That is my Saturday show, dude. Like when I'm probably gonna have to do work on a vehicle tomorrow. That's like, yeah.
It's huge, but for me, if I didn't know anything about it, you hear the name and it doesn't strike a chord for any reason with somebody that knows nothing about it. I don't know the person. I mean, I know them now because I've seen a few episodes, but going to them, like, I don't know. Some guy said, check this out. I did. Oh, now I get it. But on its surface, just pure branding. I'm not like.
So one of the big things is understanding your audience. And part of
D-Guy is making points here, and I think it's interesting. He's listing all of those, and he's like, all of those, they were Iron Age. And it's like, I don't know.
They were initially, before they became super popular. Each of those things were technically what was back in the day called the underground comics.
Yeah. I mean, are we just trying to slap a name to just indie? Like, that's the other thing. Are we just slapping a term?
I think that they're not Iron Age. And the thing that makes what's happening now Iron Age versus that is strictly they had to go and find a platform. The Turtles, if they never found a platform, would have died in obscurity, but they did.
Yeah.
Like, now you don't have to find that platform. You can do it yourself. You can go and build yourself up. Like, you don't need to eventually find a platform to make you huge. Like, there are creators out there that completely independently do make stuff and can make something of themselves. It's just, you have to focus on the time period thing. But one thing I really do think is to focus on is that when the Iron Age hashtag or the Iron Age thing came up, is that it was more about, it's all the back end people. Like, what is catching up is the people like me, the people like Daniel that are providing services to people in this market. And like, that back end is still building itself. But when you have a hashtag, it's all about the audience. And Iron Age speaks to creators because they're the only people that give a shit about the fact that you guys have it different.
That's an important point.
And it's when we're only talking to each other and the people that care about this. Because let's be honest.
Fuck you, Joe.
Readers don't care. You're never going to get.
I'm triggered. I'm triggered.
Joe just dropping bombs into chat. Be like, all right, motherfuckers, you ready to go? Fuck.
So I think one of the big things is there are a lot of people who are worried that Iron Age is just a super niche term. And I really don't care about that so much. because like book talk is a super niche term, or it was like 5 years ago, and now people can sell thousands of books marketing to book talk. And yet if you're over 40, you probably require a primer on what book talk is, because I did. I'm not even 40 yet. And like, if you stick to it and you grind at it enough, I think it will eventually build up its own momentum. And if, part of that is having, a pithy explanation. What is the Iron Age? Well, it's anyone building their own platform in the new creative era, right? So just something like that is, yes, D. Gray, book talk is porn now. That's not the point. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Well, so if you guys are interested, you know what? Never mind.
Well, the beauty of it,
Gens go to book talk.
the term only has to mean what it has to mean to who it has to mean it to.
Correct.
Like, I don't have to care if it ever becomes a widespread term. Those of us who know where it started from, like, there might be 3 other terms that happened before this thing's over. You know, it's
that's true.
Maybe it's just to say, hey, remember all of us old heads back when this was the Iron Age?
I mean, I feel like that's where it's going to go. But I think if we stick it out, depending, the idea is to grow it and get eyes on it, right? And that's where a lot of my argumentation for the term comes from. Is we want to get eyes on it. We want to get eyes on creators, because I think there's some really cool shit happening. And the funny thing is a lot of the guys who are out there, creating like some really, really good stuff. Like, you see it, they fund their projects really quickly. Their books start doing very, very well, because they eventually end up getting like a word of mouth going. It's like, so how the hell do we get a word of mouth going for where to find creators like that?
Didn't I just cover that?
I don't
know.
Not
20 minutes ago.
I don't fucking pay attention to you.
This is why we fail. This is why we fail.
Well,
but yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, well, if everybody, no. It's not getting word of mouth just from like the creative side of it. It is getting word of mouth from, a lot of the normies that are checking this stuff out. Like, I know that like that is the only reason that my live streams grow is word of mouth. Now, a lot of it is creators, right? And it's a lot of creators showing up into my chat. Not a lot of creative customers.
So 2 things. Number 1, your audience doesn't care if you really work hard at it. They just care if the book's good. So getting them to want to support people just for the sake of supporting indies, it's not really ever going to work. The second thing, and I'm going to caution you on this, is I come from libertarianism, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to sit there and really hope that the term is going to mean what you want it to mean, that battle's been going on for 60 years and it still doesn't mean shit to anybody.
I know.
That battle will wage forever. What is libertarian? I couldn't tell you. I don't.
Let me make
Trust me, I'm there too.
Let me make a suggestion from my college days.
A
lot of times back then, anime was not very popular, and I would try and get people into it. And I discovered that trying to explain it or trying to give people a big series as an example to watch failed. So I developed what I called the 2-disc strategy. I had 2 DVDs, and I would lend one of them to people who were interested based on what I knew about them. Those 2 DVDs were Summer Wars and Read or Die, the OVA. I have kind of a similar strategy with Iron Age right now. If people ask me what is the Iron Age, I recommend they pick up Achromatic Chronicles Blue if they have a younger target audience. If they have an older and slightly more mature target audience, I might suggest they pick up The Black Crown, because those are 2 books that pretty much encapsulate what's going on with the Iron Age. And they can pick them up fairly cheaply, and they can get a taste of about where the average level of the creative quality is at. And that is better than trying to expound on them the philosophy of the changing age in creative circles. It's just, you're going to lose them if you do that.
I like that.
Well, what you needed is more things like Anvil. Like, you need places that are trying to support the best content and put the best content out in had Anvil come out and just been Anvil, the Iron Age, the best of the Iron Age, That would have done more to promote the term with the normies and have it mean something outside of this market that it has. But this is kind of the way it really happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's something I've been working on, kind of in the background of all of this. Is even though my time is very limited, the 2025 project is people submitting things for reviews and the like.
Daniel's working on Project 2025.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah, I am.
I was just about to say, good
Yes.
Lord.
Fuck.
But anyways, by the end of
So
2025,
when are you going to be announced as a cabinet member, Daniel? That's what I really need.
Dude, I had a friend of
Great
mine who
books,
actually
wonderful
thought
books.
that was
Good
Trump's
things.
thing, and I was like, no, it's not. It's like, well, I know you denied.
it's gonna be huge. Anyways,
huge.
no, by the end of 2025,
Frankly,
my plan
beautiful
is
words.
to.
They put them on the
Yeah.
page. It's well, I'll stop.
Look, one of you
Exactly.
just got to do the dance so we can get this thing.
No.
Emily was doing the dance earlier.
Fuck.
Is to do an ebook version of exactly what Nikki was talking about. Was taking the top 5 or 6 of the year's worth of reviews, and with the author's permission, doing excerpt sections, putting it all together into an ebook magazine that is just under the brand of the thing that I'm doing as, you know, my best of in 2025, you know, and then doing
Like
that
a Reader's
in the years
Digest.
going forward.
Was
Yeah,
that
basically
this?
like the old Reader's Digest.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the
That
thing
sounds
that you're
nice.
focusing on there is and this Royce is good at this, like, in that you guys are making content that why reviewers are good. People can go to them because they like their opinions on the work.
Yep.
If your focus is on not the people making the craft, but the people taking advantage of the craft, and that's your audience, that's always going to be how you grow the movement, how you pick up new people. You know, Comic Shop Wednesday, I love it, but it does kind of develop that more circle jerky element of we're creators here hanging out for creators. Don't get me wrong, the support for each other is important in a time when it's really hard to do this stuff, you know?
Yep.
But what really, the videos that I think Royce does that are the most important are the ones where he's talking about video games and, you know, talking about topics that other people are talking about. I don't know if anybody saw, like, I did a video
That's what I said
a
last
couple
night.
weeks ago where I tried to teach marketing through Freddy Krueger. But in that video, one of the things I talk about is that everyone bitches about how the big creators, they don't talk about indies. And the reason they don't talk about indies is because nobody else is talking about indies. Nobody, like, if you want to be picked up by the algorithms, you have to talk about the things that everybody else is already talking about. Now, that can lead you down good paths. But
because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I was talking about drawing contrasts.
Here's what people need to understand about the algorithms, right? The algorithms don't create trends. The algorithms confirm them. The trend is what people are already looking for, and the algorithm wants to just feed that person that content, so that way that person stays on the platform for longer ad revenue potential. Mm-hmm. And so when a lot of people sit there and they go, well, the algorithm just dropped my stuff or it didn't share it. Well, it's like, I mean, you probably didn't fucking name your shit right. Like people, like people, no, not Shad, not necessarily.
That was something Shad was complaining about earlier.
He was. And but again, there's, you've got to look at trends. And it's like, you know, they're like, he was like, well, sword content across the board is just kind of getting nuked across YouTube. And it's like, okay, so is the trend of watching sword content kind of over now? Because things wax and wane and they ebb and they flow and creators come and go and so on and so forth. And that's just how it is, right? And so if you're a creator putting stuff out there and you go, well, I'm talking about this, but the algorithm isn't sharing it. It's like, well, yeah, the algorithm isn't sharing it because people aren't searching for it. That's not what people are talking about. That's part of the reason I'm doing, like, you know, a lot of the gaming videos and stuff like that on the main channel. And then eventually, you know, we'll convert some people over here when I can start to really see, you know, the uptick working.
My video I did, like Freddy Krueger, the title, had more views than any video I've ever made talking about an Iron Age creator. Just because of virtue, it had a perennial search term in there.
Yes.
People are just going to search Freddy Krueger. And because of that, more people watch it than anything else I've ever done. Period.
And John Delarose very recently, in the past, like say 5-6 months or so, has seen exponential growth in both his channel and his book sales because he figured that out and he started going at the mainstream stuff, and then in the middle of it he reminds the viewer that, hey, I have things that do exactly what I'm complaining about the right way. Go check them out. You know, he sets up a contrast between the shitty thing and the good thing that he's put out.
And that's awesome. The one thing that I get a little frustrated in that, like, so I follow Nerdrotic because when they put a crappy woman in for the 13th Doctor, it pissed me off. Like,
Right.
Not that it was a woman, but it was a crappy woman.
And
I
that
still think
story
Olivia
was
Colman.
awful.
I still think I couldn't even make it to the first episode for Arc. But had Nerdrotic, as big as he is, if he started trying to actually lift up creators, I want you to think about this. How does he pick them? Out of
that's pretty simple.
Hundreds of thousands of people that are going to contact him asking to be the one that gets supported. How is he possibly going to narrow it down? It's going to be some type of like nepotistic playing favorites thing, and it serves him no good. It's going to he'll end up dealing with the same crap that everybody else who gives anyone a hand up, like.
Yeah, the way I would do it personally, I would look at whatever's popular right now. Like right now, Wicked and Gladiator 2, people are talking about it and they're bad. Then I would say, hey, here's if Wicked didn't suck, and then just look for shit that's like Wicked. Personally, go through it myself, see if I like it, so I can have an honest opinion on it, and say, hey, there you go, there's your video.
Right.
In fact, you could choose a handful. Say, I went through 12. These 3 stuck out to me. They're really like Wicked, but didn't suck. And then go ahead and put your marketing play on it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it since nobody else is doing it. Royce has got a birthday.
Shut the fuck up! I also just muted my wife in the chat, so I'm getting ready to defend myself.
That's why I decided to do it.
Well, happy birthday.
No, shut the fuck up.
Happy birthday, Royce.
I hate all of you.
Happy birthday.
So fucking nope. I'll leave. I will fucking leave the stream.
To you.
Oh shit! This is what we gotta do.
Usurper.
No. So to the point about that, where if you have should it be an angle then of creators to have some sort of reach that is more mainstream and broad appeal, whether it be their own channel or contact with a channel that does something where they talk about mainstream culture, gaming stuff like Royce does, or
probably
even like Iron Seas watch movies, and then use that as a entry point and then promote indies as an aside? Is that would that be a smart move for more people to do that sort of thing? Or
I have a follow-up question to that after.
Well, I think the first thing that needs to happen is every author out there needs to take control of their own and start actually talking to people, start building a front face. Don't rely on other people to build the content that you wish was out there. If you're doing it with books, it's not any harder to just sit there and start up a YouTube channel. Like it can be as little or as much work as you want it to be.
I'm doing it and I fucking hate it.
That's why I'm wondering if there's like a middle ground where you can reach out to other channels and have that appeal, people that do it. Because a lot of they want to write their thing. They don't really like being on camera. So maybe there's a middle point where they can have access and do those sort of things and get their face out there. I mean, if they can do the channel, that's great. But
that's why, and this is my follow-up question, that's why I was considering the idea of the community branding. Because that would, by proxy, give at least some sort of leg up to people that aren't comfortable being an on-camera dancing monkey. Royce.
Fuck you.
So big thing I'll say to that is,
I hate you so much.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just spitballing.
We have to be realistic about where prose and comics actually exist in the medium in the first place.
True.
The bottom line is they're dying arts. Like they're not growing. People like video. People like audio.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, audio.
So the less you're willing to participate in the world in the ways in which people want you to interact with them, it's like Roy said about the algorithm. The reason people follow that stuff is because it's the stuff that people do. Like it's on YouTube, then I know that it's there because it's popular. If you can't participate in that to a certain degree, you're shackling your own hands.
Mhm.
The first big thing. So it sucks if you can't. There's places that still write articles. Sure, go write to people that write reviews. Do
Right.
that. It's not going to do as good because you're once again shackling yourself from doing things that are really necessary.
There's a lot of options now too, and if you've tried it before, it may be worth going back to it. I've actually in the last 3 or 4 years, narrative channels have taken off on YouTube, and a lot of them will just like crank out some AI images and read a creepypasta, and they'll get like thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. I actually tried something like this with my first Roy Harper short story, which you can pick up and have Spell Will Travel, available on Amazon.com right now.
Attaboy.
But it got no traction at the time because nobody on YouTube was doing that at that time. And I'm thinking it may be time to like get me some Grok 2 or something like that and try and AI retouch some stuff. You can even get really decent AI voice generators now if you don't want to read it yourself. It's a bit flat compared to having an actual narrator there. But not everyone can just do a performance. Like I'm okay reading my own stories because I've been doing live theater for more than 25 years. I'm fairly confident in my voice performance.
As a reader, I can tell you this: I'd rather have a crappy author reader than anyone else read the book, because even in that crappy author read, I'm learning about the creator of that book myself. I'm getting an insight into who they are, and it's like, wow, this person can write this amazing story despite sounding like a cardboard box. Like that in and of itself is a charm that builds the mystique of the author.
Yeah, that's something that I was playing with too. I recorded myself narrating the Gentle Wild story that I posted on X, and I haven't put it out yet because I'm still fiddling with it. But I had the same thought that you guys were just talking about.
Well, you've got an advantage if you wanted to do GZI because you've already got comic art you could use for your voiceover.
And audio books, so I've already got it narrated too. So I don't technically have to lift a finger there. Yeah.
I guess a lot of this comes down to people understanding. I think there's some humility that needs to be out there. There's a lot of people that
so bad.
Like people that not understanding what they're trying to do. And I always harp on the relationship building of marketing. I had a guy tweet this big long screen about how he spent $1,000 over 4 months in Facebook ads.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I saw that.
And I would have looked at it immediately and told him, this is not going to do what you want. You're going to waste a ton of money with just looking at it.
Yep. I know who you're talking about. I saw that.
And it's, the guy, I mean, he wasn't trying to be a dick, but it's like, if you understand marketing and understanding what you're doing is building relationships, what he did was the equivalent of talking to a girl and saying, hey, would you like to go out sometime? And she says, sure. And then say, well, here's my place. You want to meet me in my bedroom, as opposed to, would you like a cup of coffee first?
Yep.
Like you're trying to
the equivalent of hookup culture.
Yeah, I guess the equivalent of modern hookup culture doesn't work in sales. Let's put it that way.
Doesn't work, period.
Well, I would agree.
The marketing stuff aside, like one of the only things that I'm really like decent at is if I see something, I go, I don't like that. I don't know why I don't like it, but as a customer, I mean, a lot of times I can kind of break down like my thoughts on why I didn't like something, where I thought the stuff was off, because I come from it as a potential customer, and so I see
appeal. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen thousands of projects of this time over the course of the last 2 years, and a lot of people, when they're trying to push their products or trying to do whatever, it's especially because we live in the meme culture, right? And like a lot of people are meme lords. they think that like a funny meme equates to a click or interest in a book and stuff like that. And it's like, well, no, not really. Right. It's, it's understanding the premise of the book is really understanding a lot of stuff. And a lot of people just really get it off. It's like, oh, if I just share this joke that's funny with me and my friends, it'll be funny to the rest of the world and people will buy my book. And it's not necessarily the case.
Well, even more to your point, I don't care what the story of a book is in most cases. What I care about is the characters. I care about the author. I care about a whole host of things because most stories are rehashed versions of other stories. There's only so many damn stories to tell. Is it a fantasy story? Is it a Cthulhu story? Is it a historical fiction set in the Civil War? They're all going to be kind of the same and have most of the same beats. But what is the hook of the individual character that I'm following? What is the hook of the author's angle and perspective? Those are the things that I care about. Like I've read plenty of Cthulhu fiction. Most of it sucks. And there's about 3 guys out there that are just so damn good at it. I will pick up anything they write. Damn. But it's nothing to do with the story. It's because the particular angles that they approach it from and like those guys and the way that they view it works. The other guys' stories are pretty much the same. It's just they don't capture it. Something about them doesn't make it work.
Yeah. Yeah,
sense. Nikki is onto something there. Most people indeed will respond to a story either for characters or for mood. And you got to know your genre and your audience if you're going to nail which one they're expecting. If you write horror, especially if you're like a Lovecraft kind of a guy, a lot of that audience is looking more for mood. If you've ever actually read H.P. Lovecraft, his characters are about that thick. They're extremely thin, but he sets a very particular mood that people, for whatever reason, really love. I'm not a huge fan of him myself, but there's people who really love that mood, and if that's what you're doing, you really just need to sell that mood. You don't need to tell people anything about what you're actually writing.
Some people nail the language, but they fail the mood in Lovecraft. They'll have all the words that are supposed to mean something, but they fail the mood. Period.
But Nick, it's not Euclidean, right? It's all I need.
Dude, one of the things that I think Justin was there on one of the Comic Shop Wednesdays. This was like a year ago or something like that. We saw this project and it was supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic zombie book, right? And this family is surviving. And we're like, okay. And the entire time that this like 2.5 minute, it was way longer than that. It was like a 5-minute long thing. And we're watching this video. It was way too long of a video, first of all. The 2 people are on camera and they're sitting there and they're talking about the family as they're going through the apocalypse, but they're dealing with depression and issues of self and this shit. And Justin remembers exactly.
Yeah, now I'm remembering.
And we're just like, and we literally got done with it. And we're like, I don't give a fuck about the family dealing with fucking depression. I want to see how the dad fucking gets his family out of the situation because of zombies. Like, and it was like just in the off. I was like, or it was very interesting, and then all of a sudden they just kept starting to talk about more like, oh, they're battling depression issues, and they're battling, and they're all, and it's like, don't you want to see people deal with depression in the post-apocalypse? And I was like, no, not really. It was it was just bad. It was like
explode some zombie heads and save lives, fucker.
Yeah,
right. Let's stack zombies.
This is reminding me of a terrible A24 movie that I just wanted to fall asleep during.
So bad.
Now, if the zombies had depression, maybe that.
Like if you played it off like that, like the zombies are just really fucking depressed, and they're just looking for friends, and you're just popping heads, and they don't understand why. It's told from a zombie's perspective, and he's like, we're all just very lonely. We're dead, and we feel, and we just want to be around the living, and they just keep shooting us, and we don't know why they don't love us.
There was a really good comedy probably about 15 years ago that was told from the zombies' perspective, and they didn't realize they were zombies in the whole movie. And so like people keep attacking them, and you don't know why.
Zombies. Here's the thing that I wrestle with on some level, though. Like, obviously, I know what I want to see in a story, but just because it's not what I want, that doesn't mean there's not an audience for that, right? So it's tough to be like a curator of this is gonna be good or it's not gonna be good. We have our opinions and our gut instincts and all that, but
so somebody mentioned earlier in the chat that
need to be a curator.
That
That's my job, fuckers.
This is an oversaturated market.
Yep.
Oh god. Yeah.
I disagree wholly. And the reason I'm going to disagree is because if you ever listened to the 1,000 True Fans model, if you can find 1,000 people to give you $10 a month, how set would you be for life, frankly?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's
Pretty
1,000.
damn
How many
set.
millions of people are there out there? So
Yeah.
you're only looking
How
for
many of
1,000
them are actually
You're
looking?
only
for...
looking for 1,000 people
Well, there
that get your vision.
What was it 8 billion people on the planet, 8.5 or something like that?
So how hard should it be to find 1,000? That's gonna take some work to
not
do
wrong.
it.
But I mean,
But then you tell me it's oversaturated. We got a couple
here's the
thousand
thing,
people making.
but here's the thing: if you want to find 1,000 people, you have to be fucking interesting to 1,000 people. Like that's the thing. Like if you
Or
want
your thing has to be interesting to
yeah, or your
people.
thing has to be interesting. But like, you have to have a personality, or you have to have something that makes you interesting. That's fucking weird.
And I would argue that anyone can make themselves interesting in the same way that one of my favorites, one of the world's greatest songwriters, Bob Dylan, is one of the world's worst singers and still made a career out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So no matter what you do, you can find a way to make it happen.
I loved Asmongold's take on this. Hey, what's going on, Skunks Workshop? Hanging out over on the Green Mean website. I see you. I loved Asmongold's take. And somebody said something in his chat one time, and they're like, "Yeah, but what if I'm not an interesting person?" He goes, "Then don't." He's like, "Then don't be yourself. Problem solved. Move on." And I was like, "Wow." And it's like a lot of people are like, they're like, "Yeah, but that's being fake." And they're like, "Yeah, but if you want to do this, and if you being your uninteresting self doesn't work, then be something else."
So Everly, Royce, me, we're all musicians. When you're on stage, are you or are you with the knob turned up to like 15?
No, I am genuinely me.
Okay, with Royce, that's probably true.
I don't know. So
I've met him
Justin,
before. He's the same. It's wild.
We've said this here. Yeah,
He's a
this
cartoon
is
character.
just me.
Yep.
Like the guy,
Very
everybody
much
showed
so.
up at the barbecue and they were
Cartoon
like, "Yeah,
redneck.
we thought you were gonna be." No, you are just you. That's just where This is just where I live.
Maybe we're explaining why he never made it as a musician. There, if he just turned it up to 15, it would have saved everything. He'd have a career now.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Probably.
Well, I know what you mean. When I'm on stage,
point,
like
though.
I have to turn like my natural whatever it is that I do. I turn it up like way over the top.
Yeah. You got to
Because
bring that energy.
I have like if it were me, like I'm just super dry and like really weird. So then I, make it just creepy dry.
Ooh. I like what
Hey guys,
the
it's gonna
hedge
be a
has
great
to say
show
here.
tonight.
Don't tell the hedge I said that. Fuck that guy. But he says actually you probably need 50,000 people to know you exist before 1,000 people will give you $10 a month.
He's not wrong, but that's the point. Like,
Well,
it's
and
1,000 true fans, not 1,000 people following.
Well,
you.
yeah, and
that's
I
the
would-
problem.
I would argue it's actually even higher than that. I would argue that it's probably 100,000 people, right? Because I mean, I follow a lot of channels out there, and they have 100,000, 200,000. Some channels have 1 million people, and they go on, they live stream. They don't live stream to that many people. It is a fraction of their total audience that they live stream to. Mm-hmm. Because they're, like you said, the true fans, the ones that like the ride or die guys, right? The ride or die fans that are there every single week without fail, those ones. And that's really what,
And I don't say this to tell anyone it's not going to be work. The bottom line is anything worth doing is going to take work and effort, period. It's just to make the framing of it more realistic. If you're sitting there thinking you're going to go become the next queen, you're not. The market is not set up to do that in any market. But if you want to go out there and be a niche person that has 1,000 people that love what you do, that should be pretty doable if you aggressively go out to build relationships and make that happen.
That's partially why I'm a sandwich.
I thought it was just to make me hungry over here.
Hi, everybody.
I'm
I'm a
eyeballing the shit out of
sandwich.
you.
I'm a sandwich, and I write short stories.
I believe
Subscribe to
James
World
is a
Without End Lore.
BLT sandwich, by the way.
Oh, there's a lot of bacon.
Is it
Go
only
subscribe to World
Iron
Without End
Age
Lore.
if you are willing to do the work?
Aren't willing to do the work.
Oh, is it?
I don't even write, but I'd take exception to that because I haven't met anyone who's followed the hashtag personally that isn't willing to work. They may
Most
have some
people have-
bad ideas, but they'll work.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, dude. I got bad ideas all day, and I will work those motherfuckers to the ground. And then I go, about a month later, I go, maybe that's not the thing. Like, shit. I'm very bad. I will adapt eventually. It just takes me some time to get there. And that's, yeah. It is the idea of selling yourself to people, selling this community or whatever or whatever this is to people. And I think it's more so to the point of, I mean, I think a more effective strategy, if we really want to talk about the Iron Age and we really want to direct people to it, the idea is, here's a good book from it, like what Horizon Talker said. And if you want to find more people like that, come back when you finish the book. I'll point you in that direction. But they have to have that place to go. They've got, because there's no fucking website out there that has a collection of authors who you like. Like, I mean, how do we get that on Amazon? Is there a way to be like, who are authors that you're kind of like? And then people just go and just tag a bunch of but there's no aggregate for it. And that's kind of
Yet.
Yes.
But I still think that's developing. What you're talking about is professional appreciators, which I'll put myself under. Like, one thing I would like to do in this next year is actually be more of an appreciator. Like, when it comes to the books, like actually talk more about the stuff that I love and try to reach an audience of people reading that kind of stuff. It's one thing. It's really easy for me to talk about music. Books are a little bit different for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I've been a professional appreciator of music for 35 years. Giving back to, I probably didn't know much about it before I was 5, but like, I love geeking out about bands. Maybe even more than I like making music. I love geeking out about music.
Right.
And for some reason, like books, it's just, I mean, it's a little bit more of an intense process. Talking about a song or an album, I can listen for 5 minutes. Or I can listen to something over and over. I can listen to an album for 40 minutes. And it's a much easier, investment, whereas to sit there and go, well, I'm going to spend 4 to 10 hours listening to or reading a book. And then I'm going to go spend another amount of time writing or coming up with some concise thought about this thing that I loved, but like, maybe I just loved it. Maybe I don't have a lot to say about it.
Right.
It's just different for that. But the idea is that you need to have the professional appreciators, the people that, build the playlists. I mean, in music, like how does music get put out now? It's playlists. Yep. People make playlists and they share them around. They build DJ sets, things like that.
Which is weird because that's
the music version of word of mouth.
Or, I mean, it's the modern day version of the mixtape.
Well,
which is still word of mouth.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting. Sorry, I haven't thought about a mixtape in a long time.
So back when I used to do what is it? Sounds Like Liberty. It was a libertarian music podcast I did, and I had a guest on. And he blew my freaking mind. Like, I couldn't even understand how to talk to this guy. He's a younger character. And I asked him, what's your favorite album? And he just looked at me like I was completely insane. And he's like, well, I guess the closest analog I have is there's this one SoundCloud mix that I really like with this one DJ. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I mean, it's a set he did. Like, I don't listen to music and albums. There's just like songs and literally, I'm just like, I don't even know how to talk to you right now. Like, this doesn't. And granted, some of that's I'm just old compared to this person, but like, I didn't think I was that old. But I just don't even understand how the process of appreciating and enjoying music happens anymore. And maybe that's why my music career never took off. I don't know. And I've been more willing to adapt.
That's just an evolved version of the word of mouth scenario, though, which is what we've been, essentially covering this entire time is how do we generate word of mouth? And my initial thought when we first started talking about it was there's a couple hundred of us who are capable of generating word of mouth. in some capacity. And why aren't we?
Well, and I don't think that's even fair. That's fair to say that, 'cause I think some people truly are.
It was a collective we, not an individual we.
But I mean, it's
Right.
like, was it John A. Douglas?
Mhm.
That dude's out there professionally appreciating and actually building word of mouth.
Right.
And
Killing it.
you know, thank God for him for a lot of creators. He's just kind of also in that space where he's a creator on top of being a professional appreciator.
And an unhinged shit poster.
Well, but some people that works for, though, you know, and that's
Yeah,
how
it does work. That's the thing. That's what's the beautiful part of John Douglas.
I mean,
is that the shit posting draws attention, and then his more rational, fun, and engaging word of mouth stuff drives the nail.
it's either you get the joke and you stick, or you don't, and you get out of the way.
Yeah.
I love Larry Correa on X because he's just, I love the way he pisses people off. But I get the joke, you know, so that's why I stick around.
Yep. I think Korea goes a little too hard in the paint.
I only think you go too hard in the paint if you can't take it. That's the line for me. Like when you start complaining about how hard people throw it back, and I've yet to see him do that. He's more than
That's
happy
true.
to take it to the take it to the line.
So is the way to next level reach? Is it just to stick the course, keep doing this, try to stick tighter together, and it's just going to take time and just keep refining your craft, building on it, and waiting for people to come to you? We talked about, you mentioned somebody threw some money at some marketing and nothing really went anywhere.
I hate that word waiting. But
No, it's not waiting. We need to be proactive.
Sure.
Takes action.
Yeah. The whole reason that I even found this channel is somebody sent in a super chat to Friday Night Tights, and they mentioned this channel, and
Same
Shad
here.
said, and Shad was like, "Oh yeah, Royce, good guy. You should check that out." I said, "Okay." I went and I clicked. So it's like marketing can work. Is that something that there needs to be in addition to like
Literally
a
word of
collective
mouth.
Iron Age hub or whatever? You get that, and then there's a marketing approach band.
For
Like,
the
how do you
record-
get to that next rung,
for the record,
so to
don't
speak, and just
ever-
grind away and
don't ever discount the super chat as a way to market yourself. I started
Seriously.
building my audience by going on Friday Night Tights and super chatting, just so I'd be seen in the chat. And they'd like if you send enough money, he's got to mention your name in the show.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
so like $25 to get your name mentioned on Friday Night Tights might go a lot longer than any Facebook ad campaign you could put out there, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because that $25 on that show is highly targeted to a very specific audience. And you're not going to get that good at targeting on Facebook anymore
Nope.
because it's tailored to make you spend more money.
Mhm. They're all tailored to make you spend more money.
Yeah.
So where is the best place to send in super chats and ads? I mean, Friday Night Tights. I think there's a
Depends
lot
on
of
the
overlap.
audience you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
FNT is predominantly like comic booky, but if your particular niche, like Nick was saying, as a marketer, if your particular audience is people that need marketing, then you go where people are looking for marketing, and that's going to be in the indie spheres, all of them really. But if you're trying to sell a comic book, you go where the comic book fans are. If you're trying to sell a novel, you go where the novel fans are. Maybe not book porn, but other places. Yeah.
Well, and there's also other layers to this. Like, and Daniel, I'm sure, can sympathize with me. It's like there's understanding that there's the people that I want to help,
Mhm.
and then there's the people that have enough money to afford me doing what I'm capable of doing.
True.
So, like, while I do
If
this,
all
and
the
I hang out
people
with
I
you guys,
wanted to help could actually afford to pay me to help them, I'd have a lot more money.
exactly.
And I'm pretty damn cheap in comparison to all the other
Mhm.
folks out there that do what I do.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine I know who charges, I think, about 7 times what I do to do what I do. But he goes after only entirely corporate clients.
Yeah.
Whereas for me,
He's
the people that
after
I
the
make my
high
money
rollers.
off of and I produce podcasts for are going to be like coaches and like solopreneurs and shit like that. So it's just understanding where your audience is, and more importantly, understanding what you're trying to do with whoever your audience is. Like because Daniel and I do have the element of our business that is helping to promote people that don't have that money, but understanding we also need to build our services up for people that can pay us.
Yep.
We have multiple audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe that's the most complicated part of like the idea of outreach and building those relationships is understanding your goal with any of the relationships that you're building.
Yep, very much so. I had long conversations with a couple of lawyer friends because of what I do for the community versus what I do for the rest of the million or so people that are putting books out. You guys in the what we call the Iron Age community, or even a Drink with Crazies community, you guys get a discount, which is a much smaller rate than I charge the people who just contact me out of the blue and go, hey, I need somebody to look this thing over. And I had conversations with my lawyer buddies about the concept of it, and that it blew their mind that I was even doing that. They're like, no, you just charge everybody full price, you jackass. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, because I know the struggle that they have paying for the stuff to begin with.
And I've talked to Daniel, like, if you trust me, folks, for up to me, Daniel will be charging you all way more. Position yourself. You need more money. You can do a lot more stuff for people you want to if you're rich than if you're poor. So
there is that too.
Help all the independent authors you want to in your spare time, and make as much money as you can off your business.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing it wrong. Got it.
We're all doing it wrong, but we're doing it wrong for the right reasons.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what a lot of it is. And it is, because I have seen, I would say this, if I didn't see the level of quality from a lot of the independent creators that we've covered and even read, like a lot of what people are putting out, like or even watched like Jared Christman's newest movie. If I didn't see a level of quality there, I would not be doing this 2 years later. And I'm not saying that everybody out there is pushing out bangers, but enough people are. I mean, they're pushing out a level of quality in their like first attempts at stuff that like 10 years ago, you would just go, whoa. Like 10 years ago, it would have been dog shit. And there are people out there that are just pushing stuff now that you're just like, this is your first book. This is your first, this is your first take on it. And they're like, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, dude, it takes people years to get to this level. And like several books and several different, and you're just there. And like I said, and that's one of the things too that I don't really think that we can knock off is that we talked about the hard workers, right? Is there are people that are putting the time, effort, and energy into learning their craft before they even drop their first thing. And then putting it out there, which is really cool to see. Because like I said, 10 years ago, people were just like, I'm going to put out my first thing and hope, and they didn't take the time to learn. And so I think that's something that we need to speak to.
For me, this whole thing is worth it, if for no other reason than Brian McCoppin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that first Record of the Paladins book, man, just blew my mind reading it. So like whatever comes out of all of this, the fact that I got to read that book makes any work I do within this movement to help people grow absolutely worth it. Because my whole point in doing this is because I want more crap that I want to read.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. I'm a fan. Like, I love this crap and I want more of it.
Yeah.
I want stuff to hand to my daughter. I want to give her stuff that she enjoys.
No,
I
and
think too. Sorry.
Oh no, go on, Justin. Go on.
I was just gonna say, I think too
He
that
just needs to stop calling it the Paladin package.
I know he needs to keep calling it that.
There's an audience.
I see
for
what
that.
you're doing, McCoy.
It might not be the audience he's looking for, though.
It is an audience, though.
If that's true.
Look, he can take their dirty money and do a lot with it. Let's just say that.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Dude, strippers do a lot with dirty money. It's the thing.
Put themselves through college, right?
Right?
So we assumed it was male strippers was the new audience, right?
A lot of law school has been paid for by dirty money. Anyway,
Law school.
I was gonna say, like, a lot of people's first issues, they're pretty darn good, but I think there's an expectation too that whenever you come into the indie scene, so to speak, it's gonna be on the level. of some of the creators you're used to that are more mainstream that have been at it for like, decades and decades. And some of the indie creators have, but if it's your first book, there's going to be a growth period in there. And I'm like, if you're
You
starting
find that
here,
in the
Hold on. I have
the social
I have,
media circles
I
more
have
than in real life.
I have experienced, talking with people in real life, the sentiment around indie is it's crap, it's garbage, it's not any good. That's what I've run into a lot,
Yeah.
and like,
and it drives me crazy. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, you're good.
I was gonna say it's not crap. There's so many stories that they are not. They're objectively not. They're good stories. Are they 10 out of 10 perfect? The most amazing thing you've ever read in your life? Not yet. But they're already good. Like issue 1, you were saying that these creators are putting in the work before they get the first issue out there. And issue number 1, it's already good. So it's just gonna they're gonna keep working at it. It's gonna get better and better as time goes on. But I think it's hard to break through that mentality of like, no, I read the first one, meh.
The
It's
word
like,
I
no,
like
man,
is boutique.
Yeah.
I like to refer to like even the services I offer. They're boutique services. They're services, or this is stuff that's created for a small audience. So I'm not going to try and be the next Stephen King. I'm trying to create things for the 1,000 people that are just going to love what I'm doing and that I'm trying to talk to. If
That's
it's not
always
for
been
you,
my
that's
mentality.
great. I don't need it to be for everybody. That's gonna serve me. You got to imagine having to please everybody as a writer or creator. I want the people just going to like this.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the struggle is you have to, it's that whole dance of you're maybe making it for a small audience, but then there's the, I don't like to say normie, but there's the average person coming through and they see the smaller audience and they don't take it seriously and they're already kind of predisposed to not like it because they don't see the clout behind it.
They're
So
not
if
your
you
people.
I know.
And then-
but
and that's-
everybody wants that bigger audience, and you got to have bigger reach in order to find your people, so to speak. So it's like this weird.
It's putting unrealistic pressure on yourself.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
I
the
know,
people that get this the worst is anyone who was like previously Comicsgate. Anyone who had like a good issue because they were part of EVS's buyers program. And then, now they're excommunicated, and now they get to find out what their real audience is versus, who bought it just because EVS said buy it.
We've
I
talked
think
That's a hard
big
reality
issue.
a lot.
We've talked with a lot of people who that has happened to, and it's interesting, and they're just like, man, like it's wild to see. They're like, so I guess my audience wasn't that wasn't my audience. That was somebody else's.
I think a big issue is that that stigma may be a stigma amongst prose readers who are used to having a physical copy more so in their book, because I see on almost all regards and like all forms of media that in the indie sphere, it's kind of flourishing online. Digital releases, Substack, YouTube, I'm a Taco Sandwich. So all that stuff out there, it's mostly indie. A lot of it is so indie. Even when we talk about audio stories, you have stuff like Creepypastas, which is like 99.9% indie, and there's hundreds of hours on it, consumed hours on YouTube. So I think if you're a indie producer, you're trying to get something out there, it's small, you have to ask yourself not only who is my audience, but what is the best method of producing this that it's going to reach that audience.
And that's, I think, maybe the most important part of all this when you take into account like those creators who burned by being part of the in click. How you build those relationships matters.
Yep.
If you took the quick route and you're part of the buyers club, well, those come and go as quickly when you're not part of the in crowd. But if you did the work, built the audience by going to them, reaching them, finding them yourself, those people tend to stick around a lot longer. And like that goodwill that you hope to get from an audience, you find a lot more of that because you did it the long way. You didn't do it the quick way. You did it the way that you would expect any. You maybe not be friends with these people, but you're building a relationship built on trust as opposed to fame. And that's a different type of relationship. It's a much stronger type of relationship.
Real quick to dovetail slightly off of that, make sure that you keep your expectations realistic. because any creative endeavor that produces something to sell, even the well-established companies way back in the beginning were local. They built over time. It's a war of attrition. It's not one battle, and it never will be. Tyler actually helped me sum up my thoughts on that with a post he put out. Said, "Dear indie creators, understanding this will change everything for you." In 2011, a book was released and sold 300 copies. In 2021, I found the book in our catalog and remarketed it and sold 10K copies every year for the next 3 years.
Jeez.
What you create exists, and it exists forever. During that infinite time, you, your descendants, whatever, can continue to build the audience off of it. It may not directly benefit you. That's why I say you need to have realistic goals about this stuff. But it benefits the world in general. Now we can get to Maji Chan's question.
I love this question. Do you remember back when indie was a term about music and wasn't a genre of music?
Yeah.
It's a good luck answer this question and having it be meaningful.
I can tell you, I have promoted exactly one indie comics line to a professional comics line in the way I review it, and that's Iconic Comics, because they produce consistent work, they have shown consistent growth, and they have always delivered on time, and those things are the concepts that are professional in my mind. Even though their biggest comic line is Common America, and the two guys who write and draw that have day jobs. The company behaves professionally, and so I call them professionals.
Well, and I mean, when you look back, Image Comics has always been an indie comic label, even despite that it's a huge company. Is what makes it an indie that, like, the company doesn't decide what happens to the characters, that they're all creator owned? Like, what do we want the definition to be for that? You know, it just, what's his name over there? Eric doesn't own all the characters in his world. Some of them.
Do you want me to autistically ramble about the Image publishing license? Because technically, all those characters are creator owned. Image is basically just a distributor for them.
Yep.
So,
indeed, that's a tangled spider web.
Well, that's it was the indie company back in the 90s. That's where indies went to.
Yeah.
So, you know, once again, like it's such a weird world. I mean, it's, you know, they used to say, "What is pornography?" I don't know, but I know it when I see
when
it.
I see it, yeah.
Jesus.
I was a Supreme Court Chief Justice.
I think a lot of people, when referencing indie, you know, a lot of people are. I think a lot of people have an understanding of it being, it's the little guy. You know, it's not a major corporation. Maybe they sign up with a marketing firm. Maybe they do something. They get a part of a group, but essentially it's the little guy. They might partner with somebody bigger to help them out, things like that. But essentially, everybody kind of knows what an indie is, right? I mean, everybody's like, well, is Eric July still indie? I mean, considering, I mean, he's in a small corner of the internet where, I mean, he's not, I mean, Eric, yes, doing very well for himself, but I mean, he's not a big dog. He's not competing at that level yet, at that mega corporate level.
I mean, his releases still release the same number of copies or more as any of those big companies do of the number of releases they do. But
right.
I don't know if it's fair to take like Marvel today as the baseline for what a healthy comics industry is, but
no,
just me.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, you got to look at Japan, you got to look at BD, you got to look at even the English comic market, which is much smaller than, you know, Franco-Belgian. They have a healthy market. We don't.
I would say that the line is a lot of the mainstream apparatus. If the mainstream apparatus,
Yeah,
isn't
that was
really
going to be
behind
my
you-
question for her question is, are we talking professional as in mainstream or professional as in being consistent and of a standard of quality?
Mhm.
And are we talking like professional in behavior or professional financially? In which case,
Right.
it's just when you can sustain yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, if you make money at all off of it, you're a professional. It's like, well, I would not consider myself a professional YouTuber. Yes, I do make some money here and there, but I'm more of a hobbyist YouTuber. I'd
Yeah,
like to
as an
turn it into
example,
professional,
what I do with Whimsyland, not specifically with the books, because I'm not at that level where I'm making enough money to live off of my IPs. But with Whimsyland, I make enough money year to year to not have to work a day job. So I am a professional in that capacity, and that this is my vocation. It's what I do, and indies are traditionally, and Nick's probably going to have an aneurysm when I say this, indies were the guys that were selling bootleg CDs out the back of their cars.
I wouldn't have an aneurysm. What I say is like, I mean, think of Fat Records. We all remember the bands in the early 90s, the skate punk bands. Most of those bands all still work day jobs, and then they'd go on tour over the summer. Now, granted, they work day jobs like they'd work at tattoo parlors, or they do shit like that. Or they work for a graphic design company where their boss doesn't mind that they leave for 3 months. But it's not like most of those guys supported themselves off of the music. It was just they found a way to create the art while still having it be a part of their life.
Yeah. No,
that's a more accurate definition.
Some of the Epitaph bands, those guys made a ton of money because of The Offspring and Rancid, but it's its own thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
I love Rancid.
Yeah. I love them up through Life Won't Wait, and then they just got repetitive.
Ooh, you're right. Oh, shit. Just didn't even hit me. I was just so in love with the band itself, and yeah, holy shit.
I was really geeking out on their their Stubborn All Stars I Want to Riot cover rehash for Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Right, exactly.
God, it was such a good song.
I love that movie. God, I love that movie so much. My wife did not understand. I was like, I said something to her. I was like, yeah, Beavis. She's like, I've never seen Beavis and Butthead. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I've never. She's like, maybe a couple clips here and there. And so I was like, all right. So I made her sit down and watch Beavis and Butthead Do America. And I think she watched me more than she watched the movie because I was just dying the entire fucking time.
What's real funny about that is when you start getting into some of the actors that did voices in that. Mm-hmm. Like if you remember, was it Dallas is Bruce Willis?
Oh, really? Fuck, yeah.
Like Bruce Willis was in the Beavis and Butthead movie.
That's so good, though,
even
dude.
Makes sense.
Sure.
He was very comedic early on in his career.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
My favorite Bruce Willis role of all time is Hudson Hawk. So
hell yeah, that movie is legit,
dude. I
just want a decent cup of coffee.
Dude,
funny bubble.
trying to explain what was it to my daughter the other day, and what we were using was Crocs. If you remember Idiocracy, and like they chose Crocs because those were the dumbest shoes they'd ever seen in their life, and then 20 years later, like they're one of the most popular shoes in America.
I don't like that Mike Judge predicted the future because I just don't. It's one of those. It's like he was out of line, but he wasn't wrong.
No, some people are really good at pattern recognition, man.
Yeah,
he fits the biblical definition of a prophet. It's unsettling.
I don't fucking like it, dude.
No.
Oh man, it's
what plant's grave.
Right.
Same thing with the South Park guys. They just are really good at pattern recognition.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like when, like, we live in a world where what was once parody is no longer parody.
Yeah.
And it's like the South Park episode where Cartman wants to be a girl so he can go, take a shit in the girl's bathroom because it's cleaner and nicer or whatever. And he's like, no, he identifies this way. And the entire episode, people are like, no, that's not a fucking no. And he's like, you have to. And now we live in that world, and it's like, fuck. Like, maybe we should start watching this shit and start cutting it off at the pass. Like, stop watching this stuff as entertainment anymore, and just like Daniel says, we're consulting the Oracle.
Yep.
Like,
Well, the key is just don't have kids, because then you won't have to think about it. You can appreciate it until you have kids. The minute you have to worry about the next generation, it becomes way less funny.
It changes your perspective on things a lot. Like, that is one of those things that, having kids. That's why I tell people.
It was Oscar Wilde. The Decay of Lying said, life imitates art far more than art imitates life.
That's why my least favorite show in the freaking world is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Because I literally watched the decay of society happen along with that show.
It's so prophetic. Unfortunately prophetic.
Like, as they became worse people, humanity became worse.
Yep. I'm the trash man.
I think a lot of people are still fighting back against
Fucking
that.
Danny DeVito.
I've never seen It's Always Sunny, but I didn't.
Man.
Well,
You'll
here's the
love
thing: I didn't have cable when that was airing, and It's Always Sunny was. I think it's probably been on some streaming platforms and stuff since, but like it's one of those things. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, you've got to watch all these shows," and I'm like, "Okay, so I've got to binge watch fucking seasons of this show because you don't have to binge watch. No, I don't think you understand how I am as a person." Okay,
The sad part is that show is scary fucking accurate.
I hate you all. Damn it. I don't want to watch it.
I also never seen it.
You don't have to watch it now. I mean, you can just watch CNN and you'll get the same show.
I also don't watch that.
But just, it's so
You think your life
accurate
is hard?
people
I'm a
in
sandwich.
Philadelphia.
I'm a sandwich.
And it's Thanksgiving.
We're all full on turkey. You're safe for at
I
least
spent
a
the
day.
last 3 days in the field hiding.
The sandwich reminds me of Stickly from back in the day. Okay, somebody knows
James,
what I'm
why are
talking
you a
You mean
fucking
the
sandwich?
Attack song?
Because it's great for marketing and people can't stop looking at me.
I love
He's
that where my
not wrong.
camera is. Where my camera's pointed makes me look like I'm eyeballing the shit out of him in my little window. And I love that so much.
Hungrily staring.
Just
A
like,
little bit of
pull out a
drool.
napkin occasionally, and just
That
have
kid-
at it.
The fat kid's just over here like drooling.
I do have other forms.
One question,
no.
not to get back to serious things, but on some level, Maji was talking about the difference between indie and not indie, whatever, mainstream, and then earlier I think it was D. Gray was talking about like just working hard doesn't mean that you're working smart or being successful. Okay,
Correct.
so we need to define what success means. Does success just mean that you're doing it full time and you're getting paid full time just to do that one?
If
thing?
that's
an
your goal.
individual. That is an individual goal. Success is an individual goal. So now, if we're going to talk about success for Iron Age as a community or a time period or a whatever the fuck, that's a bigger that is a really big conversation because again, you have a bunch of individualist fucks here that are just like, well, that's not what I. But I mean, like. I think, I mean, to just boil it down, it's getting eyes on it's getting eyes on it. That would be success.
That should be goal number one for everything.
Goal number one, if you're getting eyes on your stuff and you go, hey, if you like my book, I'm not gonna have another book till next fucking year. Check out these other guys that I know. They're a part of the Iron Age community. They, here's their books. You want to find more? There's some fucking drunk jackass that streams on Wednesdays. He'll show you a bunch of shit. Again,
Pitch it just like that,
dude.
Exactly.
I don't know. This drunk guy on Wednesdays.
I mean, there could be a couple different like metrics. Like
He rambles about sound equipment a lot, so just tune that part out.
Or ask a question and let him
fuck
go.
you. You guys do it to me. Fuck you. No. Knocked it.
Royce, you're muted.
Some obscure
Royce, I can't
fucking
hear you.
bullshit in a fucking chat, and I answer it, and all of a sudden it's fucking rambling. I fucking answer the chat, and I'm rambling.
Happy
You
birthday.
fuck mooks.
Man.
I hate all of you. I hate all of you so much. It's just
It's Royce's theme song now.
Rebel on.
it's no winning with you people. There's no winning.
There never is.
Just
Take the L. It's fine.
take the L.
Maybe the winning was the friends you made along the way.
Fuck, I have made a whole lot of them.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Well, take what you can get. You know.
Got a lot of hungry enemies though. I'm like, they're all barbecue, and all you motherfuckers are just fuck. We'll be there.
Well, I have one of my clients who messaged me the other day.
We'll
You
eat
know,
all your food and still call you gay.
I had a podcast for,
That happened.
and she's like, I don't know if this podcasting is actually doing for my company, but goddamn, it's been a lot of fun talking to people.
Hmm.
And it's even if that's the only thing we ever get out of it, and so much of this, like, is your life not enriched by having all these people around?
Yep.
Like all
That's a
these
good point,
people
too.
that are going through the same struggle. in
It
so many ways.
depends on the stream.
It's bigger than business.
I think he's talking
It
community
can be
wise.
good for the brain.
Are our lives better for all the people that we know because we all do this thing?
And tonight is when
depends on
Royce
the stream.
quits.
Yeah, and Royce is like,
He's like, oh, it's not.
no, it's not. Fuck y'all. I'm out.
I just had a
I'm gonna go play
realization.
Call of Duty.
But you know what? If nothing else, Royce, I want you to hang the little feather in your cap that I got to watch Ethan Van Sciver get super pissed off on a Sunday morning because you did what you do every other episode of your show.
Yep.
The most fun I've ever had
yeah.
to chat.
His
was
head
watching that whole
exploding
thing
about that
happen.
was beautiful.
That
And like
was-
watching you be completely oblivious to what's about to go down, and just knowing that he's gonna flip shit, and it was so beautiful.
Did
so-
he flip shit? I don't. Did he?
That was literally the moment
Yeah.
when he started talking shit about the Iron Age.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Because you
Really?
wouldn't let him on the podcast on a Sunday morning where you never have guests.
Yep.
I
But
remember
to him,
now.
that was the greatest slight that any of you little peons could have done to him.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what we need to do?
Dude, I got so many DMs from that. People were like, dude, and like
Bro.
they were like congratulating me. I'm like, what the?
Why?
I'm like,
Well, the thing is anyone who knows him, and that's the key to this, is that like anyone who's followed him understood what that meant to him.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with you. You were just this guy in a position, and God, it was beautiful. Just fucking
just-
nice.
I think I've had like 2 guests on Sunday coffee ever, like unless like my buddy Bill wanted to come in and bullshit and just have some fun with the fucking chat, but he's been around since the beginning of the channel, and but I've made 2 exceptions to the rule, and it was a timing thing. Like they weren't able to do Iron Age nights because they just live in a different part of the world or whatever, and it's 8 o'clock at night is sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning for people, or it's or they work or whatever, and so I made like 2 exceptions ever to it, but it was very, very extraneous circumstances that caused that. And then he just came in and he was like, yeah, link, and I was like, what link? There is no
You're
link.
oblivious, and this was part of the charm of it. Like, it's what made it so much better.
Just like, yeah, no, I don't have guests on Sunday.
He doesn't know what he just did, and it's so great.
It's just, that's the reaction that I got. I still don't like. I get it. Like I understand a little bit more now.
It was
Who the
funny
hell
to
are
me
you,
too
Royce?
because I had the same interaction with him early on when we first started the IAK thing. I was like, "Hey, I'll come on for Sunday," and he's like, "Yeah, I don't have guests," and I went, "Oh, okay." And then like months later, this thing happens. I'm like, "Oh shit!" He did the same thing to EVS he did to me.
Well,
I did it to Drunk 3PO too, because he even asked for I was like, hey man, this is just me hanging out with my audience. Like I don't
Royce,
guess
you
on
don't
Sunday.
understand. He's Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, you don't say no.
Just no. Don't say no to him.
Yeah.
The comic
I-
skate king.
I don't think you understand. I will say no to whoever the fuck I want to. I don't give a shit who you are.
And not think twice about it. That's the
Not
glory of it.
No, dude. I'm a blue collar motherfucker, dude. I've had to say no to motherfuckers that could do a lot more damage than Ethan Van Sciver. Like,
Well, I don't know if anyone could do more damage to their own credibility than him.
I don't
That's
know,
fair.
dude. I've met
But Royce
some-
Royce would tell God no probably, and not even realize it. He'd be like, "No, I don't. Sorry." And yeah,
So I don't. Royce, you're not gonna have Jesus on your show on Sunday. I don't have guests on Sunday. It's Jesus.
the
I'm like-
autism.
Just.
So these
No, I don't do
that's
that.
Success. That's what success looks like. That's all I'm saying. Like,
Yep.
you
that
got
was
big
the
time him.
biggest live stream that I have ever. I had like 100 and some odd people outside of the Eric July live stream. That was my biggest Sunday coffee ever, and it's like there was just a lot of people in the chat that day. It was like 90 to 100 people in the chat, and I was just like, this
Really
isn't
bored
unusually
Sunday.
big. I was like, this is an unusually large show, but fuck it, I'll roll with it, whatever. I think a lot of people knew he was going to come in, and I don't know how they knew, but
He
said how
probably
many people
told
were
them.
there.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Which is why it was even more, because it's like he probably told his audience this is going to be a thing that's going to happen,
hmm
and then like
And
you
you snubbed
disrespect
him.
him in front of his
live.
audience, and
Yep.
Good for marketing. I'm sure.
I mean, like I still have. I mean, the DMs are still there. Like he snubbed us on a Friday. We had to fucking scramble and get a new guest. He
Like-
was scheduled
wrong.
for the Friday show, and he
Decided
was like,
to do a trash cast instead.
yeah, and he was like, I need you. Hey, just can you move your show? And I was like, no, dude, my show is at this time. So that wasn't the first time I didn't do what I guess he wanted me to do. That was the second.
well,
Did he
just saying.
actually ask you to move your show?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he asked us to move our showtime on
That's-
Fridays,
that's
and I was like,
rude.
no. I was like, because he scheduled his own show over the top of us. And I even told him, I
No, it
was
wasn't
like, hey,
even scheduled. It was a trash cast.
Yeah, well, whatever the fuck it was. And I told him, I you know, because I reached out to him on Monday. He's like, no, he's like, I got to do my own show. And I was like, all right, well. So I was like, let us know if you ever want to come back on, dude. You got an invite. I mean,
Well, it's nice to know he is concerned.
that was wild, dude. I forgot about that. That was,
Which makes it even the better.
I
It's so
totally
not
forgot.
an important part of your life.
No,
Yep.
it's just, I don't, apparently.
It was like a 2-minute conversation in our private chat, me, Royce, and Richard. It was like, hey, Ethan says he's not going to come on, and we're like, okay, what do we do now? And then like we didn't even care that he
Yeah.
wasn't showing up. We were
Who
just
did
like,
you guys have
oh,
on
find
instead?
somebody else to talk to.
Yeah, we're like, fuck. We're like, it's Wednesday. We've got guests that we could bring on. We brought somebody else. Who do we bring on? That was a good.
I don't even remember.
It was
That was
January
long
of 23. I'd have to go back. It was a,
Yeah.
that was a good show. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people,
Didn't even care.
dude. I got so many DMs from that, and they're like, dude, Ethan's gonna go to war with you. I'm like, war over what?
And he tried. Like
Yep.
he tried.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. You
That's
didn't
what it
even
is.
notice. I didn't care. Richard didn't
Did he
care.
really?
So it didn't phase us at all. But
There was the year before that when he was talking about the irony.
There was a whole beehive about it.
And
Yeah.
then-
Oh,
And then he started going on podcasts trashing the whole Iron Age idea.
Yep.
And it just after that moment, it became, oh, there's comic skate and nothing else.
Yeah.
There
There was a little bit of
wannabes.
e-fapping going on, and like I
So-
saw it scroll across my Twitter and went, I'm too
going
busy
to be
to give a
honest.
shit.
This is the longest conversation I've ever had about Ethan Van Sciver on this channel.
right?
Like outside of like when like him and Eric were beefing, I was like, just shut the fuck up. Like it's
They're
stupid.
still beefing for the record, apparently.
I don't think Eric's
It's
beefing with anybody. I
one-sided
think
at this
Eric-
point.
I don't. Gentlemen, Horizon Talker, what do you do? Where can we find you, man?
Royce is calling it.
Well, I got a blog at NateChenPublications.com. I cover most of my fiction there, and I'm actually in the process of rebuilding that a little bit because I need a page now for my book that came out last week, which is Half Spell Will Travel on Amazon.com. You can find that there. I have a YouTube channel, Horizon Talker, and I have a secondary channel that is now the one that gets more traffic called Art Table Talk. So that's how that works out. So yeah, any of those places, you can find me on X as Horizon Talker as well. So
awesome, man. Nicky,
IronAgeMarketing.com. It's all that matters. Horizon Talker, you should probably call me based on you had more than one thing to say when he asked where to send people.
Okay.
We need to have a conversation.
Sounds good.
Talking Sandwich. Where do we find
Yay! Hello. You can find me at Substack at World Without End Lord. That's Substack.com, where I'm getting back to releasing short stories, and I'm actually evolving my content, starting to take some of my older stories, turn them into little audio plays to be released as well. And on top of that, I got the super awesome project that is releasing at the top of the month for everybody to check out. And if you have ever played any GTA games with that super awesome and funny fictional radio, I am releasing my own in-world fictional radio with our own Kahuna, Big Kahuna, as the DJ. And we actually did this super awesome thing where we mocapped his face and put him on little digital miniatures. So it's a miniature world with mocap talking characters. That's going to be released on my Substack. Keep an eye on
hilarious.
that. It's freaking hilarious, and we're making a few more of those because it's kind of like you guys said, it's all about the marketing. And I'm taking my stuff and I want it to stick out. So I'm transforming it. I'm doing a bunch of stuff with it. I'm experimenting with it. I'm a talking sandwich, for crying out loud. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing it.
I'm going to tell you the same thing. The same thing I just told Horizon Talker, because I just spent an hour and a half on a podcast with a guy I follow on Substack having no fucking clue that's who it is. So somewhere you got to get your messaging lined up.
Oh, that's
Indeed.
funny.
But there you go. That's some of the stuff I'm working on. I'm going to work on a lot more. And I actually do got my own little analog horror series working on in the background as well. But that's mostly just to get it out of my system so I could focus on other stuff.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Evely Music, what do you do? Where can we find you, good sir?
The camera shake when he talks.
I know, it's so great, isn't it?
So I am Justin, but I make rock and heavy metal music under the name Evely. You can find my music on all streaming platforms, from Apple Music, Spotify, all those places, as well as Bandcamp. Several albums up there and more music on the way. I also co-host the Iron Seas podcast Tuesday nights, 9:30 Eastern, with Bat Sauce, the Ultimate Kahuna, which we were just talking about, and AC Pritchard. We watch and discuss film. We talk about storytelling and writing. We have bad opinions. Everyone hates it. And we have guests on as well. Indie creators. We promote their stuff. Yeah, we have fun.
It's a crazy show. Yeah.
And with that, a million thanks to our guests. It's been a fun one. And hail chat.
Guess it's my turn, huh?
Yeah. I was going to announce you, but you cut me off. So fuck it. You can do it yourself.
I'll do it myself.
Do it live.
Do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. I am Daniel P. Riley of Whimsyland Literary Coaching and Services. I help all of you wonderful creators, if you reach out to me, refine and put out the very best creation you can make. Currently, the website is down. I'm working on it. We're coming back with a incredible new site very soon, I hope. Probably, unfortunately, at the turn of the year because it's the holiday season. But you can find all the cool stuff that I create and reach out to me on the Twix at Mr. DP Riley. And of course, the link there in my name, gsidibooks.com, is where you can find all the cool things. Gsidai comics, novels, audiobooks, all available right there in one convenient location.
Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
It's been real. It's been fun. Hasn't been real fun, but how
Have a good night.
Oh, it's been real fun.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we had that good of a conversation.
I like having good conversations.
I know. Well, usually it turns into all-out chaos. This one was pretty good.
That's because we didn't have 9 people all trying to talk at once.
It's true. I remembered the great AI conversation we had, and my God, I thought we were going to kill each other.
Yep.
Oh, that's wasn't that. This was not that. This was way better. We should do this more often.
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
I think we're doing another panel stream next month after Christmas.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, promote the Iron Age.
Yeah, tell people to show up my fucking channel so I can sell all your books for you, you fuckers. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my marketing pitch.
Door to door. Start knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Flyers.
Start
their
kicking in
windshield
doors.
wipers.
Get arrested. That's a good
Go
idea.
to old people homes.
It's great. Bust through someone's front window like a Kool-Aid man. That'd be some funny shit.
Oh, yeah.
Just paint yourself just green.
That's the
with
Hedges
iron.
marketing strategy. He just runs into people's yard and screams, "Buy my book."
That's how he got me to buy one. I was like, who's this man on the front lawn without a shirt yelling about a book? I need one. I need it now.
I'll do it if you go away.
It works, kind of.
The Hedge has strong marketing.
Ransom marketing.
Oh, good Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in to Iron Age Nights. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Cheers, everybody.
Happy birthday, Royce.
Fuck
Happy
off.
birthday, Royce.
I hate you all.
Happy birthday.
We're ending.